Hi, I'm Dr. Danett, and welcome to Yoni Box. Well, today I'm going to be highlighting a favorite herb of mine. And it's so interesting because every so often, there's an herb that we hear about that's just this miraculous cure-all, save-all herb. And, it's interesting. I think that herbs are amazing and very helpful, but sometimes certain herbs can be more helpful than others based off of the time and based off of the individual. And so I really love this herb because it's something that I've recommended to patients over the years, and that I've used personally, and that I feel like can be used without much, pretty much without side effect, and it just has a lot of wonderful benefits. So back in the day, Marilyn Monroe had Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, and I grew up on Janet Jackson's Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, not to date myself. But I call this segment Gojis Are a Girl's Best Friend, and they are one of my favorite. I want to say it is my favorite herb, but I use lots of herbs for different things, but I have a very loving relationship with Goji. So if you haven't seen Goji before, this is what it looks like. Red, kind of looks like raisins. And so the first thing I'll say about Goji, why I love it so much, is there's something called the doctrine of signatures, which is you look at something, a food, a herb, and it gives you an indication of what it can be useful for. For instance, if someone is having blood sugar issues from a traditional Asian medical standpoint, which is what I am formally trained in, they could take pancreas. And I don't want to bug out my vegans. They're like, okay, you've lost me. But this is just an example. And there are other herbs, so it doesn't have to get to be to that extreme. But for people who have a loss of pancreatic function, it might be recommended that they eat the pancreas of an animal, and that would help to strengthen the pancreas function. So the doctrine of signatures, again, looks at what something looks like, and that gives an indication of how it can help your body. So what do we have in our body that's red, going off of the color? Blood, right? So as women, from a traditional Asian medical standpoint, women, we have a tendency towards blood deficiency. So it's really important for us to make sure that the energy of our blood is strong and healthy, and Goji does this. Most red foods, red herbs, will, from a doctrine of signature standpoint, be helpful to the blood. So that's one of the things that I love about Goji as someone who specializes in women's health, that it's really good for strengthening the blood. And as I said, that's something that's really important. So we talk about channels, that there are all kinds of channels in the body, and this herb enters the liver channel, the kidney channel, and the lung channel. And, there's a whole thing about anti-aging, right? And from a traditional Asian medicine standpoint, this is a lot about strengthening our essence, which some sources say that Goji helps to strengthen essence. The kidneys are the storehouse of our reproductive energy, again, from a traditional Asian medical standpoint, and the kidneys give energy to the liver. So having the liver and kidney energy be strong is really important for us as women, particularly as we get older. And this herb also helps to strengthen our yin energy, which many people are familiar with, the yin-yang symbol. So the yin is the cooling aspect of us, and it's something that tends to diminish as we get older. So I love it because it is helpful to the liver and the kidney, to yin energy, and also for lung yin as well. So some examples of ways that Goji, some of the functions and indications of Goji are that, if you would have like soreness of the low back or knees, that it could be helpful. One of the things it's really great for is for vision issues. So if you notice that you have blurred vision, or you've been having some visual difficulties, this doesn't replace seeing your optometrist, ophthalmologist, doesn't replace seeing those people. But this is something that you can add in that can be helpful for those things. And another thing that's really great about it is it has the indication of helping with premature graying. So that doesn't, I'm not saying that if you drink Goji every day that your gray will disappear, but if you do that in conjunction, and maybe it will, but if you do it in conjunction with a good regimen, then it can be helpful with slowing down premature graying. So that's some of the things that I really love about Goji. I'm sure there's more, but I'm going to just, those are some of my key highlights. The strengthening the blood, strengthening the yin, the fact that it's helpful for the liver and kidney energy and the lung energy as well. So running out of time, so we'll talk just a little bit more about how to use it and who shouldn't use it. Okay, so let's talk about how to use it. So for most things, like sometimes I have patients who are like, oh, when I find something I like, I just want to eat it and drink it, and I just want to do it. And that sometimes gives an indication of what it is that your body is craving for or needs. The right amount of Goji for you. Now, when I prescribe Goji, then it may be with other herbs, so the amount will vary based off of the person and the condition, but just generally speaking, your hand size, however you think of God, higher power, source, is amazing. Your hand size is just the right amount of Goji for you on a daily basis. So this is where I keep my Goji. It's usually pretty full, but I use it a lot. So this handful would be enough for me for the day. Now, how do you use Goji? Well, you could just knock it back. Some people add it to trail mix. I love it putting it in with some steel cut oats in the morning. Another way, you can add it to soups, and a lot of the Chinese medicinal and Eastern medical Asian nutritional recipes, Goji is used, so it can be added again for soups. And another way that I love it, so I have my little contraption here, I will put it in, I have a little like a fruit diffuser in my water bottle, courtesy of Femme Fatale, shout out to them, and I will put some Goji in into this container. And you don't have to have this, you can just put it in some water, you can make it as tea. But what's cool about it is even if I don't put hot water in here and I just put water, the color of the water will start to change. So as you can see, it's getting, well, you didn't see how it looked, but it was clear, and now this is the color of it. And if I don't drink it, which I will, but if I waited till the end of the day, or give it a couple more hours at least, it's just going to keep getting darker. And sometimes I leave it overnight in a refrigerator, and it's just a beautiful reddish brown color in the morning. Tastes yummy. One other great thing about Goji, the taste is sweet, but we also give herbs temperatures, and it's a neutral temperature. So sometimes people love an herb, but it's a warm herb, and they already have, from our standpoint as a practitioner, if they come in to see me, I might establish that they have heat in their body, but they love this warm herb, but it's actually making things worse. So one of the great things about Goji is that it's a neutral temperature, so you don't have to worry about, if you're someone who has more cold signs or heat signs, it's not going to harm you either way. But this is a great way to get the essence of, to get to drink, to get to consume Goji. And I will actually drink all of this and then add more water, and it still has a nice taste to it. And it's also great because sometimes, water is just great, but sometimes some of us want something to make the water taste a little different other than water. But this is a nice way to be hydrated and get some really great, get some of the benefits of Goji in. So I talked about the right amount. I talked about some of the ways that you can use it. One time I got gully and we made muffins out of them. We used them instead of blueberries, so you're welcome to try that too. It was a little different. They got a little harder. I guess if you do a little soaking of them in advance, it would be okay. I don't recommend it. I recommend just using it if you want to try to bake with it. It came out okay. The idea was a little bit more interesting than how it came out with me, but if you try a recipe substituting goji for blueberry muffins and they come out great, please let me know. The last thing I will say before we go is so goji berries, if you do them, I mean, one handful a day really shouldn't cause issues, but everybody is different. If you notice that your stools are a lot looser, then maybe do a handful every other day, or do half of a handful. Take a handful and let out about half, and then that should be good. If you're somebody who has a tendency towards constipation, then this can be good for you because goji intake and gojis can sometimes make your stool softer. So if you have a tendency towards constipation, and that could be something that works well for you. There was something I had there where they say that it can cause the uterus to contract. I've never, well, let me just go with the literature. The literature says that. So if you're pregnant or that's an issue for you, then then goji isn't your herb, okay? At least while you're pregnant or so. And if you're someone who has a tendency towards loose stools and you see mucus in them, then particularly if you see mucus, then you want to stay away from goji, and definitely if you have loose stool as well. So I hope you enjoyed this segment. I hope that if you haven't tried goji, that you will in a beverage or soup, oatmeal, in a trail mix or something like that, and let me know how it works for you. I'm Dr. Danett. If you have health concerns, questions, issues, I can be reached at info@backtothemiddle.com. And this was all a part of YoniBox. You can go to yonibox.com and find more information there. So I hope that this was helpful to you, and I'll see you next time. Love being a woman.